Hey folks, looks like you guys got a quiz coming up in Integrated Math 3. So this one's on polynomial functions, a quiz or a test. I don't know. It depends on what school you are located at. So in my district, so here's a review that we did. Okay, so add or subtract these polynomials. So here we're just combining like terms, and like terms are the variables that have the same powers. Okay, so I think I grouped them all together. When there's just a plus, we don't need these parentheses, and we can shuffle them around. And so I grouped all my x's to the 6 together. There wasn't very many x to the 5ths or x to the 4ths, so I grouped my x to the 3rds and then my constants. Okay, so if we did it right, we should get that. Okay, I'm going to go kind of sort of fast. I hope you guys don't mind. Okay, here we got to distribute the negative through all the way through, and same here, distribute the negative through. So if we did that correctly, and I think I did, we get that, and then group all the like terms together, all the x to the 11ths, the 7ths. There wasn't many x to the 4ths. There's some x to the 3rds, and then the 2 and the 11. Okay, and if we did it correctly, we should get that. That's our answer right there. Okay, all right. Okay, so a rectangle has perimeter 6x cubed plus 8x squared minus 12x plus 70 and width x. Okay, the first one says find the length. Okay, so what we got to do is draw a rectangle, and I called it the widths are x and the lengths are y's. And so if, add them up, y plus x is 2x plus 2y. That's going to equal that. That's our perimeter right there. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're solving for y because that will be our length. So subtract off 2x. So negative 12 minus 2 is negative 14. Okay, and then we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2, by 2, by 2, by 2. So take half of everything. Okay, so there's our length right there in terms of x. All right, and then the second one says find the length if the width is 11 inches. Remember, the width is x, so that means we're going to plug in 11 right there, right there, right there. Okay, so if we do that correctly, we get that. Okay, now we got to do the exponent. So 11 to the 3rd is 1,331. 11 squared is 121. And now we're going to multiply. This times this, this times this, this times this. Okay, and when we do that, we get that. And then we add them all together, and we get 4,435 inches. Okay, easy enough. Nice, easy points. All right, so this one's multiply. There's several ways you can multiply. I did this in my class today. I won't do it here. Okay, so this times this, and then this times this, and then this times this. And then you can go back through and multiply the x through, and then go back and multiply the negative 4 through, and just combine like terms. I didn't do it that way on this online lesson. I did this whole trinomial times this, and then the trinomial times that, and then times that. Okay, either way is just fine, you guys. All right, and then here I'm going to distribute this x through. X times x cubed, x times this, I'm sorry, x squared times that, and then x times all of these, and then negative 4 times all of these. So that gets me to that. Okay, and then so this is going to be x to the 5th because I add those exponents. It's going to be a negative 2x to the 4th, and so on. So it gets me to there. And then I grouped all the like terms with the same color. So I did that. So all the blueies, all the purplies, all the reddies, they're all like terms. So you should get something like that. Okay, all right, so let's try this. So let's factor completely. Okay, so here, this follows the pattern of a difference of squares because 6 squared is 36. Okay, so we got to represent this as something squared. Well, x to the 10th is x to the 5th squared. Remember, powers raised to powers, we multiply them. So I'm going to follow this pattern right here. So it's one's going to have a plus, one's going to have a minus, and inside of them I'm going to put x to the 5th and 6th. Okay, so there we go. Okay, there's our answer. Okay, number 2, 3, and 4. Okay, these are all trinomials that begin with x squared. So think a bi times a bi, binomial times binomial, and you put x's in them, the beginning of them. Okay, so all of those should be like that. And then we look for factors of this number right here, factors of 20. Well, what times what equals 20? Well, 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. But also, a negative times a negative equals a positive. So negative 1 times negative 20, negative 2 times negative 10. Which pair adds to negative 9? This pair does, so that's what goes in here, minus 4, minus 5, okay? All right, so factors of negative 16 are there's a few of them, you guys. Negative 1 times 16 and 1 times negative 16. Negative 2 times 8 and 2 times negative 8, and so on. Which pair adds to negative 15? This pair does, so we're going to put a plus 1 and a minus 16 in there, okay? All right, so factors of 8. Factors of 8 are 1 times 8 or 2 times 4, or negative 1 times negative 8 or negative 2 times negative 4. None of these pairs adds to negative 7. If that was a negative 8, I can make it work, but since it's a positive 8, then it doesn't work, so it's prime. Okay, your book says irreducible. Whatever, I don't like that term. I like prime better. So anyways, all right, remember, sums and differences of cubes. If we have two cubes and we're adding them or subtracting them, then they're a binomial times a trinomial. So that's, and then I say SOAP it. The SOAP part stands for, this is the same sign as this one. Same sign as this one. The second sign is the opposite sign of this one. So if that's a plus, that's a minus. If that's a minus, that's a plus. The third sign is always positive, always plus. Okay? Same sign, opposite sign, always positive. So this is the same sign as that. All right, and then what I do here is the binomial are the things that are being cubed, okay? And then the trinomial, I square this, that's what goes here. I square this, that's what goes here. And then multiply these two, and that's what goes in the middle, okay? So bi, tri, SOAP it, okay? All right, so here, remember, when we factor, we always GCF out. And I can pull a 3 out of those, so let's do that. And then 8 is a perfect cube, and so is 27. So x to the 6 is also something to the third. It's x squared to the third. So this is 2x squared to the third, okay? So here's a perfect cubed, here's a perfect cube, so I'm going to go bi, tri, SOAP it, okay? Bi, tri, SOAP it. Same sign, opposite sign, always positive. If that's a minus, opposite, always positive. Okay, put a 2x squared in one and a 3 in the other. Okay, so there should be a 2x squared. Whoops, I goofed right there. There should be a squared right there. My students didn't even catch it this morning. Those rascals. Okay, so anyways, and then so this should be 4x squared to the fourth right there, because it's 4x squared squared. Anyways, I'm going to have that. So there's the answer right there. Okay, so let's do that again. So this should be a 2. That's the correct answer right there. Sorry about that. I made a mistake. It's going to be a mistake for the rest of the clicks. But that right there is the correct answer right there. Okay, right there. Okay, all right. And then 6x goes in the middle. All right. Help me. Anyway, so sorry, you guys. This should be a 4. I'll have it cleaned up by the time my next pair of students or my next class gets in here. So that's the correct answer right there, okay? All right, so here's number 2. Sorry, I made an error right there. Didn't catch it until right now. Okay, so here's number 2. All right, so 4 terms factor by grouping, but I can GCF an x squared out first. So let's do that first, and now let's factor by grouping. Now just be careful. As soon as you wrap this in parentheses, it's going to change that minus to a plus. Okay, imagine if I redistributed the negative back through. It'd get me back to that right there. Okay, so as soon as you put parentheses, always change the sign if that's a minus right there. All right, I can pull a 5x squared out of that, and I can pull a 2 out of that. And when we do that, we're left with 3x plus 4 in each one of those. So pull the 3x plus 4 out, and we're left with that x squared plus 3x plus 4, okay? Alrighty, so here we go. So this one here, this is where if you are good at guessing and checking, you keep doing that. I am not, you guys, and I know I frustrate my colleagues that way, but because I know a systematic way that eliminates guessing and checking. It involves multiplying the outer two numbers. Okay, 12 times negative 15. And then don't get that big number. It's negative 180, by the way. But think of other factors. You got to break that down. 12 is 4 times 3, and negative 15 is negative 3 times 5. Now, you can put the negative anywhere throughout here just to get us... you know it's going to be negative because that's negative right there. So we got to float this. Now, if you can see, if I take these three numbers, 4 times 3 is 12, 12 times 3 is 36, 36 times 5 is also 180, and if I make it a plus 36, and a minus 5, that'll get me the plus 31. And then we can factor this by grouping right there. Okay, so we group them in parentheses right there. And don't forget, when we pull a negative out, it's going to change that to a positive right there. Okay, now we can pull out the x plus 3's, and there we are right there. Okay, works every time. Okay, instead of guessing and checking. Okay, divide. All right. Okay, so we cannot do synthetic division because that's not linear. It's a squared, it's a quadratic, so we have to do long division. You can only synthetically divide if that would have been x minus 2. So notice there's a 0x. We have to insert that, okay? And then here we go. Remember doing this? X squared times x squared will get me x to the 4th. So I put x squared up here, and then I multiply x squared times this, times this, times this. It gets me this. Okay, now we subtract, okay? So these will cancel, 5x cubed, well, these will cancel also, okay? So we get that, and then we're going to slide down the 7x, and then we do it again. X squared times 5x will get me 5x cubed, and so we multiply 5x times the whole trinomial, that gets us that. Okay, then we subtract. Okay, those cancel. 7 minus a minus 10 is 7 plus 10, so we get 17. And then slide the next one down, and then we can't divide anymore, so that's our remainder. So we start at the top and then go clockwise. Okay, so it's up there, and then we go clockwise. So it's the top, the quotient plus the remainder over our divisor right there. Okay. This is called our dividend, by the way, so not that we have to know that. Okay, all right, so let's factor given that x plus 1 is a factor. Okay, notice there's a 0x squared. Okay, here we can synthetically divide. Just remember our box number is the opposite of plus 1. It's negative 1, okay? So if it is a factor, then if we synthetically divide, we should get a remainder of 0. And then that those numbers down below that straight line down there is going to be our coefficients of our quadratic equation, our condensed equation, 1 degree less. So since this is a cube, when we synthetically divide, we get a remainder of 0, and it's going to give us our x squared term. So here we go. Okay, so I'm going to slide the 4 down. 1 times 4, well, you'll see I did this right here. Okay, and then I did 4 times the box number is negative 4, and then I add those. Okay, and then negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4. Add negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Add 0. Okay, so this is my quadratic, 4x squared minus 4x minus 3. So now we factor that. I'm just going to save some time. There it is, factored right there. Okay, and then so the whole factorization of this polynomial are these two guys, and then the one that they gave us, x plus 1 right there. All right, you guys. I hope you guys do well on your test. Good luck. Take care.